I think Yaman Yanko Dabo need help. But by the way, Jani Medu na Udlato. Ngawa ni vajila kuno na conversation he was trying to make some, political point out of it. But the men clearly, But Jani Medu Udlato on the 16th of May, Walem the UMC. UMC is going to hold one of the best, Congress in the history of the Gambia politics. You want UMC, United Movement for Change. The Lord Mayor selected an elected member or a mayor of KMC through which political party is going to be. Now, Bria kicked out, he went in and formed his own political party. Mia gets good. So, medium ladamandi na udlata. So, this is just an advertisement of the UMC. Many alonko. I'll sit aliya for UMC in Koleko. On the 16th of May, be there or nowhere. So, there's some random topics pertaining to. I was having a very good dialogue with Bayasonko until the arrival of Wandifa. He changed the topics to an extent, but we all know this because I was part of them. I was within them, and I know where the problem lies. So one thing in the Gambian I Mark Jane, I have my own brain, I reason, I listen, of course. I try to abide some of the rules of the organization of Fan Associate, but that doesn't mean that I have to work exactly how few individuals want me to do or to pursue their agenda. Let me make this one clear. I think Kiamani Yankuba Dabo need a real help. Kela Moma Koi, abe positional mentor, yalon psychologically member affecting muna atina ala current activities and ala behavioral changes in human beings. Somebody need behavior. You have to study a human being psychologically. Anybody may along you have at least some, a bit of knowledge in, either fliga, nursing or whatsoever. You have some part of psychologist that you can at least move ala actions you can read through. Muneba affecting you have a sometimes in to an extent we need a therapist to heal from whatsoever bothered us. In any organization, especially in leader, you have a challenge. But one thing the Mundala concerned about the whole issues, the hate speech is going against Taliban shoulder. Taliban is the president in that country. Why all the focus centered on Talib? And all these focus Kabonandamento Walang Indigo, Birikama Area Council, they brought a huge division in UDP. May elaborate a little more tonight. Let me start. Not conversational. Ngamane for nuni bring by diamanankayako. The Gambia government, our Adamabarona criminal government, Yemune plan. The reason why this is push and pull between the Adamabarola government and then the UMC. Ila government yela studies they did their feasibility studies. They believe in data. Adamabarola Mansakunda, Yementani Adamabarola Mansakundala. Yementandala wala nyindiko. The UMC be impact maker in Gambia provincial town and the villages can affect majority of Adamabarola ala vote. Mayor Tandiko, then the Talibala UMC is a growing political party, is growing rapidly. But what many people fail to understand that statement, Adama Barola Masakunda, they did their calculation. That doesn't mean the data that what they believe is the reality. A sitting mayor like Talben Shuda at from one of the most density cities like KMC, Ngajaleko 2023, the mayoral election on a whole tanyadile, Jumalel Tata, ka campaign against Taliban Sudai. Even the President Barrow was a campaign manager. The entire, yes, it was backed by UDP. But imagine UDP as an opposition political parties. We have an we have another opposition political party backed by the ruling party against a sitting mayor of KMC, Member Talben Sudati. And he was able to beat them mercilessly through ballot box without any fear or favor from even the IEC Meananko. They are in the hand control of the Gambia government. They were unable to manipulate the results of 2023 local government elections. So, I think this is what we fail to understand, especially the Brikamankola UDP la far-right extremism, many in division on that party through Rohimalik law. In a conversation with Bayo yesterday, Najaloko is trying to make a political scores, but I'll have a go. Magjane, when I decided to venture into these political activities, I do measures a lot. And I make sure that I am well gathered. Memem fola ngalom, and myanta mem fola, nka mem for moy duma, mesila na platform ko na janenga because I am not coming fiatale. But because in coming for duma sa fono sandole without any reasonable doubt. So ngamen for wala nyindiko. Ngajeleko, the most important part media mena wala nyindiko, the question that there is ko Taliban made why Talbe Kabe leadership ni apply la Gambia and then Amana apply Mota Canada apply. You know what? That's the mistake Taliban made in life. As a member of any political parties, that I'm on an executive level also, and I'm capable, I am competent, I have an experience to contest or to apply leadership in that organization. I see no reason why if because of somebody is our leader, I'm not going to apply for that. This is my personal view toward Talibelao. And Talibelao move, Talibelao statement was a terrible mistake he made. If journalists only in the actual, I will ignore that questions. I will never answer that. Dinju malabaya wulu Gambia, iba imalafika ke fendi. Look, kukilimbiye. In life, you have to believe in yourself first than any other individual. You have thousands of many they are very good youths. Many ila life and ila hope is based on ila last hope to make changes in their life is to venture into politics. That is not me. The moment I start to talk about the politics in the Gambia, like people like me, people fear to associate with you. You know why? Because ikajeleko diamuna bada mabije akataria kulole expose lale. Remember Ahmad Jite, now you find a very long time. Itela position of bedamento is very critical. Nemu media diamuna badi ki hakilotule because even ila associate bokane trust, and this is what is happening. This is what is reflecting on my personality, but Ntamang interests any positioner in the Gambia like Ahmad Jite and others. I am telling you, I am home. That was the mistake I have seen. But Dalili Jumala ba tinna fana wala itolemu mentality le soto in that political group. Kaje ko talbe manyana UDP la leadership ni apply if daba applied. What reason do they have? Yes, because double work very terrible to bring sanity in that country way back in 2016, from 1994 to date, and is still doing extremely well. I love that Gladamala. Dabo is doing extremely well in that country. Listen, he fought so hard. So let me be clear here. The UDP being current situation cannot be if only from Bulakono. And a major problem when you create a time moment that what I spoke yesterday, and I will repeat the same thing. I remember the nonsense, a very terrible nonsense premature interview occurred in one of the radio stations and then with is it iAfrica TV or that pandering, created by Rohim Aliklo. When at other media that call, there's a coup d'etat in UDP. But well before me that interview, though, I remember the Birikama Area Council, the Yankuba Kiamana Yankuba Dabo, right after the election, there was a secret meeting that held in West Coast. Mamadou Sabali is part of this group. Niaje buka Mamadou Sabali Mamadou Sabali know what went in. Biria kumazika barok kumande barok konobala. Imanna je koteke Mamadou Sabali attack to Mamenariki Mamadou Sabali avoid because Mamadou Sabali want to explore. Anyanta some issue reveal me alongo is going to affect them because of the commune fall, because of what group oni it come for UDP the leadership, especially this honorable lawyer Dabo. I will come to that later part of the show. You cannot make any political point toward me. Gambia, I want the best for that country. Period. Alena organization discipline this Sunday. We are changing lives in that country. A poor innocent people. So that premature interview at one of the radio stations where Rohim Aliklo quoted, there's a coup d'etat. The problem with the far-right extremists, this is where it started. I can vividly remember this. I was the very first person in the entire UDP platform, UDP Toyala, Kapeyo ni manajang, Kadiamu ko. There is no coup d'etat in UDP. That of my challenge of Rohila interview in UDP, that doesn't go well with them. Wala atina, imam comfortable no with me. Some decided to fabricate their own stories, lies against me. Yeah, because because the Rohim Aliklo clearly mentioned Taliban Sudan name. I personally, I will repeat it here. I personally went to Rohim Aliklo's home where he even ordered me. Katandina ko kulebe caring in UDP konomenya ko kudida be caring ka ilafre dabula kudira ka jumale be caring mense okay no. Jumale be caring mense okay no. Akonyako, I don't know. Modi Sedikani was sitting down there. And our husband was there. If anybody want to pass, if anybody, me ananko any political party, moni me ananko close Taylor. Bimbekela yanko badabald. Personal call men dundanite. Niro him mani fonte. Ama allegation olandela nala in personal conversation on reveal. But I have to reveal this because he lied against me. And whenever I call him media, I was hurt. But a sitting mayor, a person that I have campaigned, I did everything humanly possible to elect that woman to be a mayor in Banjul. She cannot use me, no matter how influenced he is. You know what? I have to accuse this guy. UDP Mukpati let me along. Ika UDP term as a refugee camp. Ika UDP term as IMO, International Organization of Migrants. Because ni lafita kila life ni changing, it can allow to associate themselves with UDP. Ni efemuta tumamaraki jebula, wait till they are financially independent. They don't even care what is happening. While a member bank winning affect la, they less care about the poor people of the countries. I don't want to become controversy in Biosonkola media platform. But every political parties in the Gambia, it make a Gambia mislead. And what happens? This is exactly what is happening. Now, Biriota, you're fabricating, you know what? It's a party mentor like Taliban Suda. And then you have Taliban Suda, you have Rohim Maliklo, you have Kiamani Yankuba Dabo in UDP. You know, you have the Secretary General of United Democratic Party, Lawyer Dabo. Back in 2021, Jamal Baflako, in the left like UDP la flag bearer in 2021 when Dabo is fit and alive. That's where my problem started with Rohima. Rohima, okay, I cannot use this guy, but in a distant meeting, I was having a direct contact with Rohim. Then the flight that Rohima invite me at a home kataka dinner, but inviting me dinner in the Gambia grills. It's the cheapest in Europe. You can go to supermarket, you can go to everywhere. The slurry I used to go say, but that doesn't mean that's what grilling. I think I ate not the is quite enough. So what in the move? And need not a monetary leader. Nobody on this planet means isn't influence no because of money. I celebrate people what they achieve. Anybody will forfeit so that they can be celebrate either educational qualification or financially independent or being honest or whatsoever life changing activities here forfeit initiate no bank across the Gambians. I will celebrate you, and I was happy to be part of the people many fight toward Rohim Maliklo. So when Rohi was not among succeeding to La Carola, he decided because Munabekela auditor report le findida me alongo it was very terrible. Rohim Maliklo withdrawed. Ikaje one vanyo kanye allegation on Mbela Taliban Sudala about corruption. My problem here, if I believe I am in an organizations, organization and we all have the same aim and objective. This is the UDP and the aim and objective meant they are fighting corruption in our society. But what happened after all this? I don't know about the commission of Mary initiate, even the UDP leadership came out plainly. This is a witch hunt. And if a witch hunt man, if a UDP la members or na chairman and in na mayor, if all the target come. Because Tinyaro men get a for sonkola time in Brikama and then happens and anywhere. So fast forward. Yerohi Malik Law, after the audit report came in, Yerohi Malik Law are blackmailed. MPP are blackmailed. Yajali financial irregularity may happen to ala mayorship ninkono, including the Rafila Kakodomenkina, including the EU support at Banjul City Council. And then what happened after all this financial irregularity? At later that year, Rohim Maliklo was able to initiate his own company in Nigeria, where I had a sister Bondijang in Karlsruhe representing her in Nigeria. I don't know about the Mansakundala mafia in hand, but in other names, they are taxed to the highest degrees. Katandalako. You know, we have a problems. UDP was very formidable. Ikatanya na ikatale 4-4-2. Ika formation on play wato German ka play wala nyamano 4-4-2. Ika wale play no. We only be there cut off. Then nini anambaro benda this 2026 at that time mba butela. Awda mbaro fonga sana kata election ola. UDP benu nyame. the Rohimalik law tax to the highest degree. You have to bring UDP division on Yingono. This finding report from Minnesota from the local government, auditor ni mba audit nyintala mba edit lale. There are some of the financial irregularities. Even the commission on Yimelo thing, it ain't some part. Alta go back to the report. Even the Rafila support ni. Kodonyi mendundaje a mismana itanyadire. They edit some terrible part of it. Mealango, the commissioner doesn't even ask that one. The EU la money, men not out lato, they didn't even ask. That was the tax to edit some part of the corrupt activities or financial irregularity may happen daji. And personally, I order nyenta through BAC kabanjula reserve lano nyenta kawafi. Alemambo kalaba. Fine. The Taliban should have ever sold a reserve land in KMC. Eka corruption of the Taliban should have called. Eka akate party leadership ni apply la UDP kono. So another muruka apply kuma flan for money integrity backland. So ikadiamo the interest party men the contract and other things. Aliamo be interviewing men kada. Taliban was never part of the committee me alonko. The contract award committee, the council, even the mayors are not part of it. You see all these allegations on Mbeka Taliban. Let's move a little bit back to what happens. Nying division on Mbena through Rohimalik Lola blackmail. You know what? I don't know NPP mole campaign kia understand ye memfo wala nyindiko. They did their survey. Adamambaro versus Dabo. It is going to be a win for Adama Barrow. They believe that Rohim Alekiloya taxed to campaign for Dabola candidacy when they knew. You know, from big accusation of that Taliban. You bring call you West Coast Mall. It will they know, I know. Dabo never intend to run for this 2026 presidential election. But what happened? What has changed? Begin for that man demanding. Since this division I refuse not to talk. And there are some very sensitive issues because I have the record. Intentionally did that for future references because sometimes they will tend to try to damage my image. But I'm impossible no jane kunadim the integrity Ndela mero e nurture men, the hard work and dedications for my own self and the betterment of my own future. Ako, nindo kwe fa sutrole ke bade. This single word, na mero mendina at that tender age, was still echoing, ntuloko. And when at Hanat ran sasata jane, sometimes in sita. Nkajele ko nimanta doko nina sasa mambada nimanta doko la jumala nyandante mako la the moment in finta jando nka chende yale Allah help me with that and I so jata kende I still thank God with that nga Allah tentu nga jai fa jata kende amendina and in the little amount nga mesoto I am content with that one. There are special people, many alanko nintata from Badata. I know these people they are there for me. And will nene de findila. Kafuko, magbe mbi for the nenengagene chai. Yes. This is what I need. Across the political parties. Across the entire UDPs. For Birin Sasata Jawati Menan Jomolta. Ngamra konda mambe fala janne. Ngamra nga isa jawla komande nkae ko. Na sasa dunda na janne. Ninkube kala jande. Ngala na details will be tarele bolo, because what happened ninkomba finding on the Facebook or is going to be difficult. Not a much city can call because I was very close to Rohim Malik Long Kaiko. Development Sasatal and Pisalta. Mboji phone Jaran Kayali using Kaorla na Konyago, Nyomenko Pisalta, Kutekiran Kayan Namusola application of a pending ring at German embassy. Another processing bitakane. For Rohit any way in Nonaka Samananga Hana Tramba Jola. You see, you can't say anything about me. I'm fine with this. This pitchy dinner on information and all little bit yamana. I'm bother back. So I have to conclude this part because this is the part where all the fabricated lies centered on. So that meeting was a code. Kajako, Ning Adama Barrow, you have to campaign against Dabala candidacy, and then the Brigham Era Council people, everybody among them knows that code. Dabo, it doesn't even intend to run for this 2026 presidential elections. Yemune fear. There was a group of individual men formed, including the diaspora here. You see the interest group rises. After the election of 2023 election, meeting in Brikama, where Mamadou Sabal was part of it. It concerned a UDP candidate on his shutter. I fully remember I spoke to somebody, me and called them. I couldn't, you know what, is it true that? I'm not going to disclose that very well, but I will just hit some little part about it. I couldn't go. You be fenne ko de no hapunta. I couldn't be UDP batinyala. What is happening? They are now campaigning for Yankubala leadership. They have to campaign against Taliban so that to wipe out that pipeline boy, because not ni UDP are tumbling at a Gambia they will consider what at a UDP they will consider like a Baroya Kenya. You see where the interest started. Mamadou Sabal was part of it. Not the entire debunk. But Birin Brika Mankolia Kumase Kafo Baro Konoba. Niaje Birin Mamadou Sabal Findita my ko I accuse ko corruption men keta olat and men hapunta. Imagine ya stop wole nyame bukama. Mamadou Sabali me alonko UDP like fendi motanga go for nyina car sponsor over 200,000 because he was unable to pay his rental bills. Imagine you to stop karma. But what Talibet did to these people, Mealonga is still hurting them. Wow. We have to hit this part a bit. Major one on both Lacoman. If anybody come out and challenge, I will just display the audience here. The most interesting part of this show, Ye Yankuba Grum, Yata, in line with Pamodu Body, not a money. Recommend that Pamodu is part of West Coast. They can use Pamodu the ready station to meeting to sell Yankuban agenda over Ibanako neo use no, because the Gambian listen to him will overshadow the rest of the UDP members. But what they failed to understand at that time, the United Democracy Party executive members, within short period of time, after the nationwide Tony organized Talibe Wato Menanala Din Kulelu, Talibe Din Kulelu, another nationwide tour, that doesn't go well with diaspora here. The UDP diaspora. Many along mara UDP la kodo eteleka telekometo leka UDP samba. They have to dictate UDP how they want it. They can select and elect an individual that they feel cool. Nini winter to mamene benkela mansati, benkela minister, benkela foreign service members of the dokula and lady. These are the desperate folks in diaspora here. Many along they back Yankuba to fight against Taliban. But when that happened, Yankuba didn't do that at early time. Rahim Malik Law was able to use through the diaspora. Kataka Yankuba influence ka Tandala ko. This boy may never do kola. Imalong his wicked abene. Yankuba cannot even tell us what Taliban did to Yankuba to an extent which is still hurting Yankuba. Alinga tonya fonyoe. Gambia don't Gambia ti moma siya moti Gambia. I personally select Yankuba until I select UDP until I electing Kiamanot in now Bangkok na West Coast, which I'm part and parcel of. Nka na tax managing ya muruni banko dingolo kam. I did that one, nobody, single-handedly, and I've never regretted that one because he's doing a tremendous job in the West Coast. I will never have any ill wills against anybody. But Nalako, the self-interest. Let me go back to this place. Allah for Yankuba Eko. There's nothing Yankuba be men follow to the public. Molbe me lamola menako kajako. tal ben suda nyina kenna, that is why I been hoch kan. Kafoko, talibina na kana brikam area council Gambia banko be for some border like KMC especially borderless soto. Me anako talbe manyana do na brikama kono without consulting Yankuba Dabo because an interview kono nimpamu da nyinafo. Kotalbe kana dunga na mol kono duma ka kurodi ka kadir ka sukurodi dolla sukurol. How many UDP mojele ka lo Dabo dato? Let me be very clear. Hadama Dingulmenda Makadi, I witnessed that and I spoke about it a few years ago. Honorable lawyer Dabola Dato, Motol Lekanaloji, unknown individual Kamotol Kirmije because Molden Kanaji Domorininola. Honorable lawyer Dabo Monjele Kuluto Mako, even Brikama Area Council Kono, West Coast, even Basse Kono. So Nin Talvin Aroke West Coast, what is the fuse about that? And at the same time, Talib was very in a position to lead the UDP like Yankuba Dabo. If Talib was lobbying, what is the problem? What is the fuse about that? Why Yankuba cannot do the same thing and go to KMC? I sugrodi mola interesting in Tandi Mola. Why they cannot do that? But what hurts Yankuba? Well, and they go, Ako because of that undermine. Come on, what is undermine is about? Is it Talibe is Yankuba employee, whereby the Yankuba la Mansakunda wala la BAC abeje undermine. This is not logic. But look, there's something terribly wrong somewhere. Who is misleading Yankuba Dabo Kajako? You are the only competent individual to UDP. I will come to that. I don't want to speak since this division started. I am well grounded with a lot of stuffs, which can be very damaging. But now, for due to the coalition talk, I will never speak about it. If anybody challenge that one, I will display it here. Fine. Muna na happen koteke. Iko Talibela can resign. Look, Monta for the Lord to follow because it was a long story. So now, the Yankuba, we all see that go. Yankuba created. Munena na happen. Ya start like a muneke. They installed to control the diaspora here. They have to go one after diaspora medias. UDP menika diamu UDP toyala. I was the very first one. Biro audio nari da mali ulijanja ninyo tema. Biringa audio jole kono. Kweko. Commissioner report on the Findita. And this one doesn't tell well for UDP as political parties. Jumala what? Rohim Maliklu. Then the media doesn't even capture this. Kweko. Rohila media, Rohibulono the commissioner. Or this report rather. And don't Mansakunda fila nae kachaki. Ika Jumale use Rohim Malik Loka Silale as a member of UDP, Prokata State House frequently, but Hamad Balaka pick ala official kala Asamba State House because Iba use can due to the audit report of Meyalanka Fintita, Iba use Kawala to bring division in UDP. Nim Namolo, Mvangla Molo, the founder UDP Ngoli Damal Shita. Ekosa, Yev Wulia Bakaton Takalande, Iko Andako. How close I was with Mboshedikan. When I was depressed here, when I was so sick, terribly sick, Ngamboji call Kaiko. Namusola visa application of a pending ring. Can you talk to Rohimaliklo? It is a Geno Lawala. Connect the dot. You see how terrible miscalculation you money menge. Puri okay can to silence me. Procante wipe out because if fiat until alter Gambia kono kabrim basse for koina. Ninga audio jolong, people listen to it. So ikwanda kwa ninga in control no. Mbakata la tarana kafo kono nimma soto no to momena mba alajina because I just water. They know contagious water. Everybody knows that. I had a similar confrontation with the diaspora chairman here some years ago, pertaining to some certain issues. So, what I decided to opt myself from that executive groups. And these are the people behind Yankuba Dabo at that particular time to support our candidacy. Ika wulia for mode, ibeko bekela mola. Now, when they felt terribly about my accusations, now I will try things like information on them. I think one if I was the very first one who made for information on Sierra, I was so mad. I was so mad at this time. But I didn't know take my comment just counter attacking them. But whenever I read equipment for Rohimani, that was very terrible. You are very close to board. I wonder if I come on for them. I found you to women now, alone with them and the funk at Jara Jara. Because of the anger in me. The people many are going fabricated now I know what I'm gonna do. And that's what I did exactly. Don't follow more. I want to follow personal strategies. And if anybody among them, come on, this guy is just a comedian. But I have my evidences banked, saved at SoundCloud. It will be blown up at any given time. Look, Talbi Muneki Yankubala, Anala Mono, to an extent, Kajeko, where UDP le Jamfa, tell my UDP Jamfa. Yankubala interview. Well, before that interview happened. Yankuba, when the Rohim Aliglo after our interview, Honorable Lawyer Dabo and the UDP pillar leadership called to talk between these very brilliant Gambians, people like Yankuba and Talbi. These people are so brilliant and they are changing the life of the people men vote. Dabo diamtete akweko nyim farakas men balda malte mala putru. Yankuba Dabo respond to Honorable Lawyer Dabo was very disgusting and disrespectful to Honorable Lawyer Dabo. I attend for that being the reason. Yankuba Lawyer Dabo, I are cut off to communicate with him for more than 1 year. Alafo yen chele alafo yeko ni en soso nyen kumariki yen challenge ngela audio from play. Imagine UDP as a political party because of this Yale Command as a leader Kali India Mobuladum Bela Bombola Odlad Muta Kodekele that forcefully use UDP leadership to make a press conference. Kajeko, there is no coup d'etat in UDP. For the answer. For the answer. Division I was quiet. I was quiet. The biggest lie again, Biliajeko or insult when we draw him Alec Loma walk a Kosamon Nakeda. Nana Saladana Dion from Jericho, Talben Sura, Ulala Muso Sambana Jang. Me Mira. Then German on Minda Malignon on Jang. Very important people all. I deal with politicians here. I deal with ambassadors. I deal with the burgermeisters. The project ambassador like Gambia time a burgermeister. Every weekend on a political target. All the country like Kenya, and I still have a very good rapport with them. Iewuliata ka lankan ko talben su da kantela muso samana wala nan debida. Dolba flaka ka boring kodola. Very useless people on Menbeja. Ninte lafita ka mo sambana nimbanko kan member ko na matrimonial na wife. I will even go to those people. But very failed and nula albera. Ungo ko sana mbali challenge. Imagine Honorable Lawyer Dabo and the UDP leadership Yanguma Kumandi Diamuta. I Dabo disrespect the Fana Kweta for 1 year namandiam. This division, look, Yankuba, many be Yankuba Komai by brainwash by use can the media hypes Yemendiana, a Yankuba political career within UDP Adole Tinyakan so terribly. One of the most brilliant young Gambians like Yankuba. You are fool to disrespect the leadership of UDP to an extent. Imagine Kunu Nadia Mokonikavoko, there is no problem between Yankuba and UDP leadership. Nimon for a Tonya Keseta Kono. That's a terrible. Yankuba Dabo, Yankuba made a very terrible moves because when I lacked emotional intelligence, you see how hypocritical few of us can be. You see the truth, which is going to affect the entire country, dividing that political party, dividing the UDP like today. Is a win-win game for Adama Barrow, and that is what we are facing. Yankuba Anala Moli Menala surrounding, they created media houses to go after each and every UDP media members online, including myself, including Sedi Seku Sedili, including Sana Jaju as a personal, Kachelo because Kajalo UDP la leadership ni kawala promote. Yajaku wolmu wolbebe ndolbemu han ikantoli jole talben zuda kanto jola. Ano alsafa talbiya wallahi. Nan kali sabala nenaman talben sudan nenamaji as a human being nenaman bulo diala nkafa jane nemme yo long yana ya fanyo kuma kemen fo jan wuli yala talben sudan nenaman diam as a person nenamaji as a human being UDP na inta gambia kono mumebe nenaman nyalo talben sudan kam nenamala telephone number phone even ligante nenama make so fanko I try to speak to Taliban Suda because I make distance with the leadership. I have enough information. If I want to get the information, I will get it. Barola government information and I just need the leaders. I don't want to talk to the leadership of MPP, but I still get to I still more kiji. Ila pay your malaraki touch cardiamo. People will inform you. Biri waketa tumamena. There's going to be a huge problem. Ning double man venture because UDP mu double a legacy leti. This UDP mu honorable double a legacy leti. Kao party jabe tinyala to an extent because of some few selfish individual interest. Nini double force, but you know the force la monekera. The same diaspora. Yajako tumamena silang kolbita tumamena tinyaro ketale. After Yankuban in Pamon Bojala interview, where tinyaro menati UDP kono was so terrible. But what is the most funniest part of this show was, it is not about me, but Yankuba as a mayor or chairman, Rohimalik lo na men kuloto kacha media another na kodeka wonderful. Within the same political party members. And when I heard that one got something terribly must be wrong somewhere. No park. Ye cruel song. I don't want to mention names. Many cruel song. Ka Gambia bear round. UDP la alifa boni la traditional boni kadunje cruel dunda damen to come and plead to Honorable Dabo to protect his legacy, and that is UDP. Well, that Honorable Dabo intend to contest for this 2026 presidential election because Yankwana na molni diaspora kolmeni back ya feel the call. Ninga inkoto yete manyin ketuma menambita and then to gijeko. Nyimole multimedia they still accuse this honorable lawyer Dabo with some terrible stuff. I have it with me here. Ninta meta, we will challenge that. Ninga I'm just doing a mere campaign for Taliban. I never spoke to that guy. In fact, I'm going to tell you this. I'm a bloody member of UMC. But I know there are thousands of people out there, they don't even want to associate with me because of my nature. But the injustice that met Talib doesn't mean I don't want to speak about that injustice. Biru waketa tumamena, yekuru sanka dung UDP la traditional house of the kono kakurodi la kajeko nenda bo maloto na party betela la alta norma when they knew ko itolifon ya lona ko Dabo doesn't even intend to contest here but yajeko UDP la leadership Benjamin the executive Benjamin no ninta in lato election or selection wato nyisi the Taliban will lead ikosa bele betinyala let us target 2031 ni yangu ndale alinyi safe alinyi copy alia pest if UDP Wallahi Yankuba Kuje UDP Konobi. Even the UDP leadership is thinking of Kadiamala. This is the most hardest moment of this political party. Since Yankuba Ila Yankuba can select, can elect, it is regrettable for UDP leadership. Very regrettable. Aliana Malong. This is what is happening. So in intend Michael Ballack. I'm a bloody member. I'm telling you. Anybody can bring changes in that country. Even Adama Barrow la mansakuna mantranye mbatra yala o banko kan. There are certain kobe ya lota ora. Adama Barrow justice style pressed to an extent. Corruption or kill to an extent. Billahi wala talambe Adama Barrow mba endorse la for another 4th term. I'm telling you, without any fear. Anything that can change the betterment, anything that can better the poor people of lives in that country. That's what I did. 20 bloody good years. Now organization of the Gambia on the life a be safe. 20 bloody good years. From 2006 to date. This 20 and I formed the same exactly 20 years. Gambia organization on informed. Changing the life of the people. Look at the North Bank and the surroundings, from nursery school to the tertiary institutions, a medical post everywhere, employing Gambians, paying them. Look, so anybody who can change the life of the Gambian I'm in, if Adama Barrow can do that, I will endorse his presidency for another 50 years. But as long as there's injustice, going after within the opposition political party because of their delusional thought, he is the leader. So Yajako Nin Talbi is among them to moment and the opportunity to fight. In other words, Davos are on now wakil. And I problem on creating a UDP leadership in them. Alaji is Dabon be accused of Jelia Ajam Sekanyol. Men be Dabon Norma for 20-40 good years. In better accused all the UDP lands. What happened to UDP in newly executive selection on it? It will momota found ya handpick ya recognized to the United Democracy Party members only. Ya make sure they will be voted out. Will it demo be Yankoba Fenyola? Even in the next 2031, UDP Katanya Mentenda is going to be very brutal because of the divisional difficulty within the leadership. I just got a chance. So the damage I main cause for the party, they are still working on very terribly to repair that one, but it is already done. Now today, the private media houses, many of them because of media's wrote something about Kiamani Yankoba Dabo, Talbe Findit to debunk that media houses. You know what? This is the highest lawyers move that is in Tamengela. But thank God, I've never seen in any media or any platform, even in online medias, Kajeko, Taliban should have wasted his time to talk about Yankuba Dabo. Nanama UDP the leadership from Honorable Lawyer Dabo Kajeko to speak ill about Taliban Suda. And Nanaman Taliban Suda to speak about ill stuff about the UDP, the party leader and the Secretary General. But Munebe Yankuba Bulu, Yankuba Munekete Yankuba ni Talib. What hurts Yankuba that doesn't hurt Talib? Yankuba interview makes sure Talib should have gone out. They blatantly kick out Talib from UDP. A sitting mayor from KMC, one of the most density city like Serikunda. You buy political party to like UDP. Tiamana wala bo to UDP affect la. Are you in your real sense? A strong member, a bona fide member like UDP. Taliban Suda, how formidable that boy within the KMC. It in an interview, that premature interview with Pamodo Bojang. Ye wota blatantly katandalako. Neokera UDP la flag barri tekatale. Ye muruni ye repeating the question we will think about unless he change. I muneke me alonko. That is hot. That hurts Yankuba to an extent. To that a kind of statement, careful in a media house like Membe Kering, the media house branded as UDP. Come on. I'll connect the dot. Look, Gamenon Ali Ikali use ibal full media household. Ikayin kuma kamon membe for your media household. Ila media household ni londi le madi bring us start out made or media nyim brukta because munekeda UDP la leadership yalo ko ye media men propose ibeni UDP la online media tolibe attack including Seku Sedlinyol. Yajale ko ilafta ko bele shut down. It will be media men create like is going to promote only Yankuba instead of the entire UDP. Is Yankuba is the only capable member of UDP. Let me son of a UDP. Ye karamba to the sort of America. Moment karanda fa kung be lafta Taylor. Ye pada PJ in your story, not a Martin, not a mass in your story. Hey, look, ye kurubal in your shoulder in UDP. More many are their development oriented mind. A decency approach with the media can even Hanibe comfort near be diamla media command you feel joys in them. Actually, your opposition, come on. Look, Yankuba lacked emotional intelligence, and that is affecting him so badly. Amuta kodeke ala private conversation probably Noah Sise. This is the last topic. Noah Sise of Leeds, one of the most brilliant Gambians, one of the most intelligent in terms of economics and finance. He is so well grounded to an extent. Whether barola corruption akabe exposed to the media houses. Yankubani were probably they might have a link and some private issues diamonar na ketem. Yankuba kanako de kolap anala private conversation kanaka ofendi media to. That is the highest level of because of some private media houses wrote something about Yankuba. Amanjoko Taliban Sudale Findita Kadiamo about Yankuba, but Yankuba na nafindi because of online media that you don't even know. Wale diamuta about you. Ikana ila private conversation with Noah Sise, a brilliant son like a brilliant son like Noah Sise. Nenga Gambiano, including across the political party katali dunia belako. Adam baro mansa kundani kuria kolegi. Iteni hanatra. I know in some private conversations, I don't see no reason. Yankuba and na I think the media household kanaka usifa vokat stalbeta kajeko ini noa la nying transactional menkeda in lado because I'm not so cool. Yankuba investigation team on the mentara KMC kajeko noa fana transactional inkejane. Most likely there must be a conversation between the two where ila mind tada damendo walela conversational center to start at extent because of the financial irregularity may happen in KMC to an extent Yankuba water as an advantageous to tarnish the image of Noah and then the KMC because of our personal grudge toward Taliban. Look, in leadership, Adama Barrow, you know no problem with Adama Barrow. Adama Barrow, they start to disclose a private conversation with the members of the party to the public media. Gambia made a very terrible mistakes. The government built on secrecy. An organization like executive level built on secrecy. There are certain secrets abuka expose no because alcohol rules and regulations even among Hanila family la shul kono. There are certain important issues. Dunia kono mo manya na olonna. But vinda Adama Barrow kala personal conversation on ka expose with a member of the same party members. That's where the terrible mistake is. Rohim Malik Law had a very nice dinner with Kiamani Yankuba where they sat down and discussed about Taliban Suda. Yankuba had an interview with Pamodo Bojang. Yankuba exposed their secret meeting with Rohim Malik Law and then Yajako and Anatani Dunia Belako. At that dinner, we were just sitting and discussing about Taliban Suda la feature in UDP. Ntala interview don't only realize ye. What interview mbaji bekanto mna city freda level of mangambulo la nyaka. Nkoso akamuta this dinner was organized by Rohim Malik Law. Kajeko Taliban is one of the menu that need to be discussed. Wala jamana kaji desire. Yeah, after that, you benekini demand money and fried rice and chips. In another the menu mentioned as a dessert. Jaman kadi naktis. Una take jumal the Taliban suda la feature nyanta stop la nyari the UDP. That is the fact. Either take it or not, but this is the fact. Look, the whole issue is here. Nothing is wrong with that. Yankuba got his team, but he lacked the mentor because he had access to the UDP leadership at that time to lobby for leadership. He didn't know who to approach. They begin to suspect every executive member of UDP kaja will be talbe back. Nye confusion on atiteme male nyanta ka UDP leadership nyiba lobe no la nyadile because since they are not even sure Kodavo will contest la, and they know Kodavo is not going to contest because of whatsoever reasons. What are we going to do? We have only one obstacle within us, and that obstacle, how are we going to get rid of that? They had to organize a dinner, and then the desire among the table is Taliban Shuda. How are we going to get rid of him in UDP for us to have the opportunity to lead the party? And that is backfired to them so terribly. And now the anger within them, and then the leadership is having a very, there's no problem between him and the leadership. Look, it'll feel like a fenke, it'll feel like a nyatonkaya nini group of individual below more nyaton kodi me respect. I'm not talking for my father. You can brand me as whatever, lies and other things. But I have very sensitive stuff here. They all below internet but yala be manafala BSC UDP fractions. Ali opposition party shule bolanga Adama Baronga center Adama Barokan. Talbe is not an enemy. Talbe is one of you. You selected that guy and elected him to become a mayor to serve the Gambians. It's not going to serve ila interest. Is going to serve the interests of the Gambians. Look, that's exactly Yankuba also is doing. Look, Alin kana nyo kisikis to an extent. Alengana mida labana nyo letinyala. Who is going to be a winner? Nobody. Who is going to be suffered? The Gambian. Alika pretend kalakata o Gambia dingul menuta kata ke backed. If you now got Talibala problem in the Gambia, you cannot absolutely explain what is Talibala problem, because by UDP and nobody talking about Yankubala Talib bio UDP. Yankubala Talibala problem on at this later part was to seek for a leadership in the party that who selected and elected him can be a crime. This is why I do not feel myself within the group that doesn't like me to seek for any leadership within them. Ninda bota okavoko ne bafala no nyadi di jamfala wala betrayal because you live la sele kamanya bodaje. When Yankuba blatantly made it clear to the public that ni UDP yango nyinta to mama to bola party kono. None of Lanimbisa Nemake, any other UDP the National Assembly member man Findiko Sifa Nyenta. Yankuba surrounding a monument handpicked as a councillors, another media team on a minute to Munja with few diaspora, and they are the one going after Talib. So Albe Muna Folante Kotake, the Magyane Manta in the center of this discussion that the people Bina Muna Folante come long. Alge Fonte. So the word betrayer is out of it. He was looking for a leadership. And he cannot get the leadership because of there are people many along bendala jang ninga nyina liberties nakeda leadership to nata da ganyeta ndolte employer ninga mo ko mon ka fanya ko yango wa hele. I single-handedly with my power and ability to select Yankuba and elected him as a mayor of GMC, and I am equally happy that he is doing a tremendous job to serve the people of West Coast, which I am part and parcel. Is that not a problem? I'll be in division of MBK within the opposition political party team. I don't borrow a single landing you can have celebrate la jelekana bajila now in succeeded. In fact, Rahim Malik Law succeeded. I've never said the truth. It's like Nindebe Tonya Fola, you need to validate Ndela Tonya. I'm fine with that one. Look, I said I don't need any validation from anybody. I don't need any validation from anybody. Ndanga lo nkadi am jamento and molia lo nen kamen fo jan tonya lem tonya aba konyen konon and yalon kon kamen fo tonya kesolem itoli alon even the UDP la leadership dol better serine be jelala ibana ko magyane this boy they like me with passion. Some of them like me with passion and I respect them. Yes, I respect them. I respect them with honor. So Alfata UMC la, Alfata Talben Sudala la future in pursue. And on Alkai, look, in the next 3 to 5 years, that UMC, Talb is a leader and he knows exactly how to lobby. Alisonda Fali Fortanina, Alabula continue. He's already moved on with his UMC and move on with Allah UDP. Ali Nyambula, Nalse Kafuno Lefang, Ali negotiate Aleke Kankelindi to uproot Adama Barrow. Momo Bina Menkele Fanyanyate Ita concentrator. That is the better for the Gambians and not your selfish interests. Kaja Koninkarna and Demana Kela Minister. Allah in Foreign Service Doko, Allah in Padiumol. I love that very interesting lawal. In fact, ni NSGWP party a lot. Na NSGWP party. I swear to the Holy Quran, Sila, I have decided to venture into politics in the Gambia. Now, I'm going to seek for a leadership in that country. Now, happen that it's going to be a miracle, and that every Gambian will enjoy. Isa Jawala Mbekal ambassador di Janyimbal in Central Jam because I'm going to never Gambia. Mbe NSG register la Gambia mina mbe Gambia dingol tala mba fala le ko alkay opposition political party so ni interest group men bebe janteng nim padi mo mbe bango kamba buru kala. That's how they use to get rid of your life ila future ka betinya wala padi mo. Ala example ota Bakar Baji la do Bakar Baji kakata Gambia la youth should represent as a minister of youth and sport. Another delegation on intaka create ka fangola musobulande wo kono kana mur ko ke bankola ranke so ka dunje ka je ko Bakar Baji na la musolta ta Angleterre anila ichina ke jo almost 200 to 350 pound nala 2 days or 3 days or 3 days in UK. Bakar Baji na la muso menda masoto de molbe Angleterre jan ala mo ni ka men Angleterre. Angleterre, dollar monthly allowance ninkaro fare ibukata me 1,200 pounds la netto after the tax. Among the conquered billion, and that is huge amount of money in UK. A little 1,200, that is over nearly 200,000 Gambian dollars. You see how small that amount is, but it's a value in the Gambia. Bakar Baji na la muso denta wala ya sitting over the ko silang nkanyeneke na padimo anika adam baro la ministry government ikejele ikanyeneke ila ministry ke la girlfriend le fond dundi la traveling in kono kaje ko muila one of the secretary ika padimo bonni mole banko la ranke se kareka di wala ikata ika campaign ika kolonyi ntaka batra dindom atol dingol be foire yare wo banko ka atol dingol be foire yare wo banko ka ibuka nyim padimo ni NSGWP party lota me NSGWP party mbalonde la ninga londe mbala gisala mbaje la ko mbata na Gambia de wona ko ekanye nyim mansa kundani la yin sokol constitution mbabe revamp la mbabe destroy la me nationalism National Socialist Gambia Women's Party NSGWP me socialism me ole duni la banko kam mba make sure la banko dingo la Gambia dingo fo nyanda men la banko nyanta wala kanola ne opposition la ka diamali ala nya kasi la ninte fo mo ka diamali ta alla nyanto ala nyanta wala lona mo ma alla nyanto to banko kam ale man sakundale e mol men tombo alla servant la they have to serve you ala ka taxi menjo na man na la banko ka nyanta benefit la men ala wule al demonstrate no ala officer ala be mala ano nala de momo nga employ within 1 year ko nga ja bungolo ala ngata no ma ngani ke ko do bonimento da sare ka jella soto NSGWP they register a Gambia. I'm telling you, my advice to the Gambian opposition political parties. Ndamala coalition partnership. You want the betterment for the Gambia. In fact, NSGWP party want more betterment for the Gambian than any political party in the Gambia, except UMC. UMC Mono coalition partner. We have a very similar ideologies. In fact, UDP also is we have a very similar ideologies with UDP, but there are certain things being very vampirally in UDP. Kajeko, ni leadership nyanta apply la umu crime lati. Very vampirally. Mbata nila mobile lako. As long as you hold a membership, even membership card in your table, but you are competent to apply for leadership in any political party, you are allowed to apply it. You're not in a UDP division on the other day, and this is what is hampering them. This is what is hampering them. A sitting mayor from one of the most density city like KMC, your booty here by there because of leadership. It is going to affect you, not only the ruling party, but it's going to affect you. So, I think a dialogue, the NSGWP will be registered in 2031. Ni yanguba dabo nabe benna Gambia political campaign kono. And I'm telling you, wallahi, if I run for presidency in the Gambia, I will win. Ntamanke kiamani yanguba ko 77,000 vote le babulano alambaro ya soro rekabekele president. But whenever I run for presidency in the Gambia, if I speak, I spark the brains, and that will bring the changes in that country. I will be called His Excellency President-elect. Is that your Mbekela Vice President? In can advise it. Javi moro mbo kilana Minister of Economic Affairs. Ay mara Gambia bela economic la ana affair nyana. Na first lady, I'll call first lady no, not first lady, well that is taraji. What they are swimming like first lady la foundation, never, ever. And nte jolo ni la kavuka nyanda jolo kera ntaka doma no men soto nabe ole domola. You know, Gameno alkana Somalia ni self-interest group all. A group of interest people who can like fanga come to like Gameno elafta. Especially na diaspora uncle. Na diaspora do kunyini nya jawata Gambia no font. Hanmende Gambia kono. Gambia diaspora do kunyo nyini nya Gambia kono jawata Gambia di on meni alanko. They are fresh graduate from university. That is. So imagine the Gambia in diaspora in Europe is hard. Came on, non take a VPT. Esa jawla vekela na VPT because I've been advised. I know who is he. Sometimes I cover the UMC malanya men nabe sila ngo kulo to kachaduma, you know. Because no any NSGWP nada fraction of men dundani yankwani, you know, Taliban Sudan mas keno beduna nate mana andung malafi wala so mbo katala duma ano tekela media code but first can na VIP to advise me, you know. Wale kakala na vice president wani. Look, we have a very common ideologies. Very common ideology. So Javi Moro will be there to guide us as a Minister of Finance, because he is the best finance minister in the history of the best finance minister in the history of the Gambia, you know, because the future generation. Ayuba fana mbate make sure ngake na no Ayuba no ngama atubita mbate kila UN to represent NSGWP party, you know. I can represent internationally, you know. So folks, ngalone diawome for the young I'll dimine I don't dimine bari I'll sell you so nyago it can't take but I don't know kukiliye alika politiko je nka mol jamaja manka fa mol men na kola nita de succeed the first they come in mirror like ke found la consider and before those poor people will come in intend to support Gambia political history from Jawara time to date alajibe what happens, you know. These ideologies need to change. We have to be a radicals. You have to create your own radical mind like me, you know. I don't know, imagine sometimes some of them are going very terribly hard. Because of nila associate camera konye ngama sila ne mark ya fana manipulate but ni aje numena esa finita be UMC mala Ningela comment. These some people complaining about him. Ningela complain the comment la ma hola. This is the generation we are very confused. Very terribly confused. Don't feel like me being you interim Air Force Commander for UMC. I do not have to associate with Isa. Come on. Are you well? Yeah. Ndebe na bunko na janse kuranda mina afala. The only individual ngamen call pruning fata seboa kalama, and that is Asa. But because of his UDP, I am UMC. I don't want to have an association with them. Ngamolje bi many alonko de we are ibe Facebook or ibe kunsifa be for talbe. Will bading on like Omar Bon. Omar Bon bading on the fari MPP by enjoy. Well, no one problem also. So I have to have a problem with somebody. You see, these ideologies in the Gambia, we have to work on that. I fought this very hard, very terribly hard to change, you know, my way of seeing things. What on more 2016 kabona the election not any comment against UDP come down on Temnyale Martin found. Nobody dare to talk ill against UDP. Nobody. You know, nga study ka dol ka you know ka na opposition political parties more than tambembulu jangol political party nyato nkol kono wala batata mbulu bake. I'm telling you. But you know, alanga so far Gambia is for each and every one of us. We want the best for that country. Nale yala kalte Gambia falling no la lentela NSGW party bulanga register nga registered Gambia nga Gambia turn into a small balin jang. Nga pakol create more the Gambia kono yela leisure time or no summertime kata kila grease all kije nga job creation or kila funding kile many along at least they will have a better life. Nga make sure nani constitutional Gambia will be constitutional from very destroy la Gambia be one very solid constitutional kelaje banko be tamala meneba abide la the Gambianism. So meda na legend any contributions I'll say join on you know alia la opinion on sia wala jini musa seri mbera program la moika. So na BMC BSC far right members and executive members ali daha ngalo na kumoy mo jama bale la hoji dol be tara siri njibe palantero de be kamfare ali kana kamfande kama alanga kolbe bula miran killing. We are not enemies. Ngadanga adama baro bondi Gambia be fakane. Gambia is dying. Gambian economy is completely bankrupt. Gambia is absolutely in the verge of dying. Ikaji konila sasato tata sasato to an extent abedamento you are hopeless. Ika oxygen aka borini wall. Neoborn at least I need some certain oxygen to prana daily rotting aita. I've survived no nyame plus medications. Nata midawala minamuna kelambe artificial ventilator mbole create le jamano ka ko be atmo me wala kelele prungi ni kangol so nga trake kanula kije nga machine bula Gambia ikafole life support machine. Gambia be futala in Tamil Nadu winter 2026 ning Gambia baro winter to momenare me wala tala life support machine be wala fix la Gambia la to survive. So at least we have the opportunity now to kanyim person on yintaka rescue. wala an emergency fele mo fele accident o fele keta jang, a very terrible accident, but mo sabal involved ta kono wala mo nane involved ta kono. So mo nane do mo sabanyando bi jo ko tetale pruka rescue is going to be very terrible to rescue. But do fele jandene o bulo le katita, but do fele o simfulo bele katita. But do hana na barama ba membe o bala yelo membe bo ka o bala ni mo rescue like yelo la bonim ba falale. You know what you gonna do? Ni freda as an emergency, you know, the paramedics probably knows this one. Many of them they did paramedic. Men ko tete ya je go be taka nyama wesi on the verge of dying. O father sila iko ignore. Ondo men bulo katita janteng fine. It's not bad. You know when simfulo be katita ya wajibete, it's not bad. It could be ignored. But me along be bleed can so terribly, it can't call a rescue. Because allow bleeding in name or stop. What about far? Gambia be opposition on it. So out of opposition political party surely, it a bulo be katirin. Yindo single katita. But wonder de walk on a busita. But yindo balo bele ten. Bele, you know, dolia brutal Lesotho is not life threatening, you know, emergency. But other barola government Benjamin, they are terribly bleeding. And Nimma stop, they're gonna die. Gambia was situation she followed. So other opposition political parties so we can work together and uproot Adama Barrow. Nal pareta. Ale constitutional falling. Al besa la party new law no al fire. Al ne NSGWP benna, you know, campaign filo kono. Al balna oloko. Al balna oloko. Not team is full of wisdom, knowledge. No, the work, the ethics. Gambia from na work na ethics. Mbola follow falina the ideologies. Gambia no kata wato mena official. Ni mol na de sulata documents so like a number of hours mental to get their documents. All this ideology has to change. Medana le jana to follow. Anybody a viewer soto? You can share your view. Nime master fananga mobe control to. Yeah, yo, there is struggler. Nge control. Lanjoro. Lanjoro, yaleche. Make an ambassador here. Because mba make sure no jara. Because mba make sure la jara afasumba goso. Na brother.
Yeah, kondo.
Yeah, ina. But akamta ne ya mete javi moro batani la.
Obela rumbo. Mbesa alo kono hedo bongo.
Na economic minister nyeng. Na minister of finance.
Abela rumbo kono.
I know.
Yalo mbiba mbe vamule sabu nga broke ntakleta.
Yeah. What did you want? No, but public holiday lang bidi ko di.
Imu public holiday so sama man nga ke broke ntakleta. Yalo sama Friday.
Yeah, Friday, that's right. So I'm there for Monday.
Saying guy for Monday.
Maranga na mobile busita bulo kono. I realized that ngaje kan fa UMC kanya bela mobile ba fala jalo mobile busila. I'm impossible.
Allah bole ceasefire broke. Yalo gas peace agreement like peace agreement ya expired less high. Because Allah ya amended the peace agreement in broke.
I did the online media platform model Bobo. I once spoke to this guy. I don't know the person. One lie.
You know, no brother.
What a man, you attack all a peace in block, you know. But a peace in United Nations involved.
Yalo honey left a peace mental la UMC mkul like a mul provoke.
Honey. Mfana so no.
Na brother, where's it so wala?
Provoke. Yalo beka bona na West Coast le.
No, yalo the thing is al mul ka boy yang scan. Boy young scan. The thing is Alamul become very young scam without no reason. Yalo number and they believe time in a wall muko. yaje for example adama diun kana mo ko alla ni mol jama be they never met youngs.
Absolutely.
And then it'll kill killing wala member of la yang kuba nyina kena. So because they feel ko youngs le tal be the opportunity block wala tina ko they are angry about him.
For people side.
For the ko. Okay, ndaka men fodro ndolu ha.
The reality.
Na brother
Both
na
side.
na brother the sad thing is adama di nyanta belief la ko coming nde esa jewla nde ngambira ko ndelu be tal bi stop no la ala destiny moment den kam fanene.
Wallahi. This is the fact.
Adama di una destiny moment handi dunia be la de fan ya le ka wote balaw because yalla mo ne keda ala destiny men sa fe moy ama sa fe ko ni banke mo kendo ti tasula wala ni mo kendo ti be la destiny sul destiny is there no matter what ite mare keda mo kuruna ti ba e keda mo kendele ti ba ila destiny ba sutula.
I'm telling you.
But yaji nyim politiko ko no nyim bata be be la ren jomal ka intel fuara diunlo
Wallahi faro. Esa nyela mtu nya kese ula mati. Faro bana.
ajube nyim intel mem baby social media. How many of us ibafula ko nyine la background store tajida ba the people many along ko be kelo ke ka wole most of those people be di un risk kan will be mira ka itele men achieve with the unifana ya achieve ka dambi tella.
Yes wallahi.
Ni social media hani fenti killing Gambia fenti o killing eta di uma ka mo la ngindula.
Impossible.
The people will mean be fan nafaka system o nyinna wol don't han diamuka ndol we will fight. At the end of the fighting mbe nin ko tara soksita many nene man diamu ye fan civilization indi diamu to wolle bena pala sol tala ya tala yum tema
walla kana enjoy
ini mote problem sotola ini momo ko nan tiya soto nyoy because ibe sirin duma ye fan civilization indi diamote ndel ben be indi diamu de yaje kanjel ko comment to le mundi
wallahi ka use wallahi billahi talla ngebe dibe tole mutala ikamol
okay
me ko ko ne kadiam.
that's it. Nfelenti rimbe ndam bon be nyokona ntel men bi alon gombe kuba kon fayla nyokam bi nintela Musa sada bi abeta banjule ni UMC la Musa sada beta banjule wallahi ta basse the NPP the same thing nintel men bebe be nyo attaque la be nyo fengela be nyo fasa kab be nyo attaque kab men la kol ka wolle bi ni sa ta nadia te yela multindieta Angleterre te jara je wala France wala America. Yaje nanyi leader so yaje Gambia te leader kende so no na broda put it in bank Gambia mafo control and men phone bela lantelka they will be worse than us.
I'm telling you wallahi akatanya me anajira so kadanya
they will be worse than us.
No, wallahi billah wala na for NSC se register the Gambia ka Gambia kan ideology ta ka inject hadama di on sonno mokono for a betterment of the future generation doko ni wonto banko la future ni is a ability nyata
ni agenti tano la yalo muna kina Gambia te leader kendo soto no
yeah
because we encourage politicians men yalonko e ka moral le ke moral men yalonko na dino kono na adamadiya kono adamadiya fan kono o moral sifal nyili imanyan kake. But we celebrate the moralist behaviors, we encourage them, and then dishonesty, we encourage it, we celebrate it, because how can you celebrate these behaviors? You still expect to have a leaders, many they will be honest.
I'm impossible.
This kuome yalonga mamberia. Promote be celebrate like we don't want to hold our leaders accountable. Ndel fuaro le be jambe sire mbe mul fasa ka meni yalon kon ka system for different system me yalon ko wole be mbanyol toraka abe mfanyol toraka abe na be ndi victimize la tomorrow.
Yes sir.
And we think that coming ko wum reality.
Wallahi.
Say ndel meni yalon ko sama nyanta bi eko e ka bi e ka sama do kule membe bi ko no wole ka sama do ku sama membe na we na fa bi do kula la do kula. Say ndel men be jambi Gambia kono bi mbe mune prepare ka pour ça man diwni men be be fa na fala men Bi nendel bela na political jube rek. Mbebe sirin
Carola. Ford. Everybody's running. Like probably more we come from you don't worry, bound and the Baloso drum, Hanimana Bodo with eternity. I'm fine with it.
That's it.
But in my miracle, what do man know better below? I like a cool falling at any time. Neither man that probably survive like that. What do you want any opportunity to Bangkok, my opportunity to travel? Will survive no Masakunda be Munel Londela will Yanta Balula man. So it's like more like everybody women for like Saka Tria moving for Bala. Ila entire life ya beke need yadi. Yena laban kolea kono kema rifa junale. The president of Okefal.
Yana Munekake.
Sa nyambata to create a government, me along kabe daha dealer na generation to come la puri they have a better life and long life na molbe sirin bimba beti because of the present situation na selfish interest. Is our
Yana Muneketa. Mansawo mansa na benala. Aka mansali ala komen ka ako nyame ala ka mansa tombo. Ala buka mansa tombo. Ala ka mansa ya safe mo kuna. Bari mansa tombo on telekake. Ngana nga fani ya bala alala. Alala yin tombo. Alala yin tombo. Yes. Ela destiny moment. Bari ala fana aka mo tombo. Yaje ni society kono ni moli yama beriata. Ala ka mo kendo le balkol. Bari society was society. Alikal leader le tombo. Leader me yalon ko reflect in this society. I understand it. Until the system oju baby. For example, the Gambia until la odin di mahal until la suwo kono time wala na sa tete je membu ko ni mo fata je sina mo mol be bulo la le kunde be wurla ndebe kela nyaadile sa kari fata be ko mi almo jam fala ndebe fata be na mol be bulo la bulo jam fata until be kela mol be wurla jaman jam mote fala mo ka fo be kela nyaadile.
No, I'm possible. No way.
Because system le beje ite individual you are not that system o system o ila molle o seto me yalon ko bi ibani fa von betal la balure na nim fella de kay beta o system le be ma ko not that not le family
ay ma ko la baloto ay ma ko la bongoto
ila bungoto ila health care ila everything but mo
as a body
intel malon ko tel fo fembe tuba du ba fala ko nziman boto tansan nole nziman boto monsanole fine. But what about Nite? You got into the problem. What about Nisa Sata? What about Ni father? For Adam do the final. Dulobe mulebe father what? So Nite father, how you build that ma wala almund ajam falela. Ite mari ila mul kata start le zero because there is nobody again who will help them.
They don't have a better foundation. They don't have
a better foundation.
Yeah.
So foundation o me yalo ko Gambia diu be nyanta denna ka foundation kendo lo ngake nyo kele round. Gambia politiko aketa lo komin ko fadi ya kelo no be lafta afla nakawelo be lafta afla karnyol balo nan temo mendi o buka banko sambade
tere nyanda nyaaro ga tendera deserve to lead.
Exactly.
Ninde mandi na betinya.
Na betinya.
This is
it. I understand. But until men baby kelo la until be nyanta lo naloko you cannot be direct victim of the system but you can be indirect victim. Ndel be tubaab lu jàng be life condition o kono ete alon na ko min latan de kan 2024
yeah
be janne but I am the system am victimized.
Of course, absolutely.
Is mosita no holidays la esa sajet. Then you still victimized by the system.
Absolutely.
So nyinyo haba be abe Gambia anteka menje politiko te jede mbenna juso lenyi ta kanyola mbenna ke yalla lenyi ta kanyola mbenna kan lenyi ta kanyola me yalon ko sama bendi uni tora men yalon ko ila hakkole bentel ka pour nyela sama dadaye
no hasidi ala fana be inkala.
Gambia there is no politics there mbele ba kono ite ba kono le We are not looking for the bigger future picture because more baby come farine, more baby kanko karle ake yaje fuara ya nasi ata banko kankanyo blame. We even blame the innocent people. Many alako they have nothing to do with that.
Absolutely. What if I'm a kid B? Look the registration of from a kid. You see how
Yeah.
innocent people been victimized because of the political interests. Esa what if I'm attending go Tonya Obango. Lakta febele me alongo. Not this generation sorry parent. But
Na
that
brother
the tala.
mbeku killing
Right. Yeah.
fulating. Molle be system o kono men yalo ko yenteni te be muta tole woti abala UMC kono ebe UDP kono ebe NPP kono ntele men yalo ko ni pareta ila WhatsApp kono jube nga fenle kiye nangie Gambia politician I will tell you one thing, do not trust anybody. The only ba Hussein ngada man trust them. Apart from me, I don't trust anybody in that politics. Because some of these people they take us as fool.
Yeah.
Because it will malafing a system or system on it will be fit kawolela.
That's Allah Akbar.
System on nanyo sabating. Ndel dammo lañu kelen don tel fuarul politiko ko non be ko do men kafka nyoma modol be jebe baluka wala
Tago, oh, can I more tema jam problem out here?
some
I
people
need the past.
modol beje wal dino ni sawo UDP bet la opposition la forever because mom de la opposition ya leul nafa
Yeah. Wallahi.
andu modol beje atella UMC kono albe alia start tem party kutola mal benin congressman kila albe fundraise nyil men kila they will be the beneficiary
Mo be balu law xam.
molbe tarlote be baluka wala in Gambia mol man la fi ngana banko doku ni aje Adama Barrow hanyita lota ka fu Gambia diune bi mbeta ta tamla because Adama Barrow e Gambia diune stories la lo mum musifalle munti
Fane dia mo la ka siade. Ku ga
botan
tiya.
telle kono amambo santa amangina santa botan telle kono Gambia no koku ana hanna tra man betea Gambia no fewne man betea te nya ko to me yallon kama febo but anything e Gambia no febo dron hanni wo haram talaba halala yantilale so ni ajube kunu moli ku jama bay wo banko kan binga Dr. Samatela Franco jube ako Adama Barrow deserve even 4 term. Can you imagine an intellectual Dr. Ahmad Samate momi yalon ko dindin jolle fata han sinin tia fato man tele kodo molla molbe faka leptano kono regularly. If that minister can stand, Hanadre Adam Barrow is doing everything. Na broda ning ayata development lam yamanol tela president falina. Nadre infrastructure development lam yamanol tela president falina de. But mulika system le jube system is not about the present, the future or system be munena fala sama diune. But Adama Barrow na la molbi Gambia di ufankata lefron tubabdu ayta holidays la na ya fayko Gambia be falenkan o banko nyum banko mulun jawle be dunia bana fa bana kanko dokon
Eda nega yung fuay. Wallahi sometimes mo do ka esa nena buka si. Nga ma yang katu nela. Nena buka si, na Gambia ya mea. Wala ngata ni mfura Gambia ni kuyala kama. Nga ma yang katu nela.
ko ye fe tu ikoma ye ko fe kuta tu ikoma kana la be kotota.
Yeah. Ani fa wala suko ne tara dame ida men tuye. Ni na to mane ka fa kono jam manya na tara dam fansa fane.
That's it.
Because ika kankan men je lado. Ika anate esa that country is in a mess.
Na broda jube Adama Barrow na la molbe menna Gambia di ube alone.
Wallahi.
Adama Barrow ni atodun formula ya mani agente sidin jay I don't go after him so hard. Yala munatin. Gambia no na fi ko le siata.
Yeah.
Mo jama be sidin jay condemn kan e beta kan duma le ka fo actually men fo ay to nyala. Bolo be fo le tena banko. janni tebeta sidin jay noma sidin jay be diamu kam wala tola yala wala mo adama baroti how can you go after sidin jay you defend adama baro and the sidin jay is the messenger of adama baro mulu man pare to nyafula yalo ni la main ba kanja nganna wotu mo nganna se kolje e ko ka dibite wala danga because wala musola nyaka to tani wala o bilo fay
wala nyara president baro la ko be ko nyino la wala masa ko
president baro lota gambia betema ko ba make solal ko o bilo nyin kana pass o bilo nyin ay pass pour kaje ko musola nyaka to tay konde alam baro lota television ta yofo ete almamu man kuma fo ete se ko man kuma fo kanna fo andi tele ko mule ko kon kana mansa soso sai ete ko dibite wala mansa soso
yalo isa
nafiki yalo
wallahi nafiki nda amra yalo desa dolo molo araboli ul blackmail to an extent isa nka kuje ndeka kuje na molo kamenta yalo ndolani nga biggest mistake osoro damento nanyi islam nyatan koli ila preaching ngame nyanda some modification on inglaje you cannot center ila preaching jahannama la tara nyabe nyame alkiyama aljanna tara nyabe nyame leader sol nyanta protect la nyame but leader sol nyanta mala nyaadi leader nyanta kiskis la nyaadi le buka fen tara no lat na daji kolo fania fo gambia fania men ka fo gambia ko 95% muslim la bari fania men ka fo banko ka fania bako fo tubabu
wala na banko to develop nola
abe develop nola nyaadi
because 99.9% of na kordal kuno haramul lebe domo kanje.
This is it.
Fania kodol after it mulmen be ka fania fo mo kilun le kanata kodol bondi kela jame on lo wala
ka jame on
na broda hanin de men filan de be social media mul ba fula ni nyongulo de kere ni nyofon ko de ke bare bato ngakko di ba wi ni ngata nga invest gambe jame on kunna nem faata dol fen ben dundila arjanna de janni ben jannata re ben janni be futala kabro ko
yeah absolutely that's the nature of human being.
Wala Gambia la problem mu Gambia no le ta man ken na leader tide
Gambia dingo mo Gambia fo la problem
Gambia ding beti ata yaje ten mul ka struggle ka leader sindi meni dade struggle ni do wolle kana ka leader tinyambulu amanke fentike sembe dino le koma
ha
kombuka manza zozo ele kata e kam moja be mitindula aman fiti rosal aman salfana sale aman lanzaro sala be siri mitindula kallo aka fo ko nde ala lembul ya mari ka mansa patu ndete ala soso la atare be wudla mente man fiti rosal man lanzare sale man salfana sale be don kan tantawna ye ala so ko de kanalo e ka fo mole ko ndete ala soso la bawo ala ko ngam mansano na fikiyati
ala ko batu nga ata batu nga ana kira ni nga mansa meno tambe nyata that's ikay fam back wala
na brona ni futata Morocco ye Morocco jube ye infrastructure jube ye bankol Sénégal jube ye ta Tunis ye bu Tunis ye Algeria nyul jube fontel nolte ala kilun letiba
wallahi wal fere terewol be borda la be straßenbahn solve tila la be
underground terminal be borda la gambe misilmo ya mina ko ite misilme ya general ya define fuara yale jomale o fay
jamale ka de bele
jomale
ikam da ko to ya fa special president alkiyama aljana to kada da man to fana be balu laud la it's sad
wala nanga fo ko Gambia ni be Gambia alkiyama lolu muna yeje Gambia la layno to Gambia nol be layno men to ye fanjeje e nyanta mutala say kay te kay la ko kay 50-50 la
alhamdulillah anta bela fata la jamano la layno la
abanda tarjede
non tane wala
because mu'min yana ko la ilaha wala ilaha wala
yeah
nte janto
e ka balu drona
nka balu wala
e ka fol ko ala ko kila ko but in reality the real attitude mendi kata bara men e to kam men ke kafiro do daji ko wala fa daji ko senate to ta ni fani afo
ni mulle daji ko tan delti billahi wallahi tallahi ben kala qur'anu lawla yani tubabul je mel date ala ko te tele daji ko tanti
wallahi billahi tallahi
nilte fani afula ma fo tubabo bu ka fani afode
mba fo
ite ite mo nakarle la kuoka ila hakko moment ite nakarla ka
Mbola foka na di nyole jam. Isa wato ndena ex wabe tumoko no watu mena. Mbenu indigenous German or mbe involved wale kono. Wale ina movement ikamanya men ikamemfo even ila dini naraji ikakulol menke ila honesty deri mbora ne kono nara ni society kono jam mbe is area ni mena jam men man German or the wala society bi jam sakon be in building no men kono be mu foreigner the only German cleaner
abanda
is I was trying to make a comparison men community men kono ani sambe community men kono ila dini no kamanya men na environment be nyame ani into phone interaction ko tonya there's a huge differences isa they are brutally honest in telling the truth ila environment kanyo hako dani was pure if anything in kila fosi dani la follow wale ko bitte wala nila beta ko ma fonsela nyemano ani ameko manisela safu ko ngela nyemale
ogo nka example ota yana ndela dindi on fele niya domoro ke pareta isa ko ba ma ko danka mama for das esen
that's I'm telling
wale
you
ya bunye ko papa danke for das esen
because of it greater than the society man
I understand
yeah
ni moye kuma fo e bandala nele count e benale ba vula nyako papa kari e ni en vote le fonye e ka alphabet o la starting le fo wodo ni na alpha bari nyama mai sayaka e dali conseil ne roni they cannot do that
yeah because it greater than man in even society man kon e bet
hey
konya bari
e
men
kaddi
tan
ndoje ndel la society ko e kaddi ndoja be ba mala mol be jelela no mali na ta grown up ta auto political ko na ba ma ke e ko political party kare ka ba mala le atar ko bura korda men ko no bira dinding aba kata sira fa kata sire be abe neni ro fale ka jele na luwasi la nga foye dindi woni ben na so ko no luwasi la e katar sire e tilo be dindi le be ba ma fola lundo nga dindi dole mutaje nga tocho kendeke nga ba ma e ko albe siri indi nun kata neni lo albe jele la la sama ni nyil fundita banda ebe menkela je be natil wulula le neni la because you fail your responsibility as a parent.
yeah
Ite ko mu misili moleti ibeta jimo yesi yeden ka babu yiduna e kayata jimo misili me ya mudaji koleti misili me ya kasilanke hakam wande hakodomo amburo la ndeni debe jalne e ka tax men jo nin sang banda e ka kura men jo nin sang banda ya jube yemen jadi wala siyada e ke la kodo murundi mana atali me nyinin ka fan
wallahi I'm telling you
ni de tambite kunna ebe calculation no be kile baji tandile ko ya how many watt le jani e how many kilowatt le jani ila kilowatt cost la Gambia la bilol men kana ari ginin ka ba ila geo meter la na fale e ka meter men ke jol tana be ki yejinin ka la ji ala alka 1 cubic liter geo wa fi jolel eta fule
never
e ka wo water selal men ke e fen ko ni na ana fale je because water selling in na famu menti wala muko ebe jio men janika ka be rate
exactly
ya momo ya lo noko e ka how many cubic liter e ka jio jojo lela 10 cent lem 20 cent lem mo be ya lo ne ila mita be jio jolle janila mo be ya lo noko nganya liter kar le jani nyin karo kono ni ko for example jio mu 1 cubic liter wala 1000 liters wala ka cubic liters sumande ni ko 1000 1 cubic liter wala 1 euro te etela mita kono 10 cubic liter yola jani karo kono o 10 cubic meter times 1 euro you have 10 euro mote na ko 20 euro wala 15 euro nga negotiate negotiate ne bote yeme jani but Gambia no buka son na fule ko ye jolle jan tana be ki yafu nga jolle jan moment kalle ta ko ni ko 2000 ko sa nga negotiate na karle tambita wala
I'm telling you
so nyine ben na bank
corruption.
Na musole na broda musole ka wulu dame ne fata wodulado wallahi billahi tallahi be nyaaji ole bola jamano le hanila wulo le te sonna ila wulo le fon mem wulo tay wulu wodu condition on ngol ntol bamalu mbade musole na musole ka wulu wodu la leto
Allahu akbar.
o fuara kilimu men yalon ko ila musole beta wulu la walla kallo e ka fo mole ko adam baro isiato stay o mo kilimu ni ila musole teuma ni koy ko yelote jang e sinatu yaay na yelola na broda yalo ni na fiki ya Gambia no la fake muslime yalo munen ngavo ni ko kabuja warala wato la 30 years ya jamela 22 years adama baro la 8 years ye minister kilim fonye ba menna muso fo ata timuto lebo to Gambia la leptano
Amansata.
permanent secretariat je
Amansata. Arabaro baba bara toki jamambe.
okay ntel la musolu fuaro la musolu fo alaka woldam alaka woldam man niyo bonna leptano e fengeta ko alala kitala ala londo di adama diuna rungam fanna fala ni tata qur'ano kuna ko ate ala yin dunia fan kasu wor wulo akon adama dimu si dunia fan kasu wor wulo be jiyo ta yake duwati qur'ano lo nyinti be akon si dunia fan kasu wor wula be tika kake duwati nga dunia yiro be le senga ke kanati ako dunia yiro be bannale o fan kasu wor wulo jiyo be jalale man futate ala taala to la nafa kota fawma ala kadiyam adama diwani hakilol la de wo jewola wo nafa wol duwa wala mo enkiti akombe safero men kelate ala tola yala nafa hana ko tante futala ma duniya jiyobe be jalale ni ngake duwate barate ala taala la fenko nafa akota adama diwte futala ma
and oxygen dama is enough.
okay sai ite amina ko ala ko yelondo nyini ibe fanjara la men yolondo soto mo kiliye na flota ite nyanta londo tamandi la jora men na be jora men sana kela londo tamandal mo kiliyo na flo beta ya be kasara e bo bloko slow mari ite na da leptano to kudon e like o kudon me yalon ko masimu men nyanta jela me nya kodo men nyanto masimu dala mo kiliyata kodo be kasara ite mari e fa e kana fa e fanye ko ha ala le kiti dala fala ala adama di bondi ngin dunia kuno ay men londo men diala ay nafa men diala ma di dafen kilina ngin dunia kuno
ay kilo dina
bari mo fiuma belief fenna daniro sadadano ndul mo fiuni ya mita kuntol nada ngin dunia kana mo le dani
sino
wala gene kadiyamu mo ni ko Gambia diu doli beje ha Europe jam membe je kalle ka fe kon tel te keno la ko nyeli ye fan biletulindi ye fan biletulindi moli
shafu moko no gammene te keno la ko Europe
ko Europe
no la foka nan dongo dole na ran jibe no jam ngamamme nga bungo dole le jibe kabring 18 vrada brandem postama plus la bana photo from 18 something wole ubano ni create would lat wale ye train station on in building at that time the building on membe the same building we have seen them everything is intact amanja come ya boile na ya rebuild but he foundation on men lord lad is a more than 100 or nearly 100 years the same building on the video. How come? Can you imagine this? At that year, from 1800 and something, 97. Can you imagine it? Babule idea in Shotono. A very solid foundation on in Sinno. Ye structure in Bilge, may along Kanyanta last for maybe another 300, 400 years. Ngai now compare to the Gambia. Ngai imagine this Gambia at this time. Okay, let's start from 1965. Ngai go bungol membelo rim banjo no kono wa bungolo. Kansa wa bungol lebije. Dole bije they don't even waste their time to rebuild. Ikata leke ikawo plaster le bondi bondi do lava danko bungo kono yenyinya.
Wallahi.
There's no historical building me along kabe tourist attract like in Banjul. Because Bali have more than 5 to 10 million tourists every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually can propose the can in the malita ka visit. There's huge amount of money coming bringing in income into the society.
Mm-hmm.
So is that we in them malo hani jang ni sometimes in to babo dolka interaction on your sort of while our time on be kono to moment it can certain question of those racing it can feel like nyingamra mo fiwala mati bara manyin si fanyi long sometimes any model dialogue sort of one big nag desa na keba do Dr. Amal ka to ka anyway is that sometimes nani jamano from the masita ka kumo memfoe like how the come African of from backwardness in stunta African of from sunta la nyame ani wala
Yeah.
West Africa use no nyame wala the Arab wala Africa use nyame for sunte from la downfall ne Dr. Ulman Diamra nyon jamano la kamfa ka fale e kamera ko he said
Yeah.
African freedom
It's very
fighter
sad. It's very sad.
is that man na first visit in the Gambia. Freda student me around a sponsor. I accorded benete. I was the one responsible. Ni Bobakari, the Babakar Bahun,
Wow.
that dual getting started. Is a
Ila
could be
kweli.
like more than life in big change. I can't because I can't feel like we still come and they are still part of the system that affect Africa. This is how this man sees. Is that man is brilliant. After I felt around the Mogajan, Lunkin and Bitaji, nga promise the Karaji when you wanting to know.
No, na brother.
We lack so many things.
Yalo mune mo mentality level. Mentality level. And then the sad thing is na brother. Na
Yeah.
society ni ndesan. Ola ngave ko there are people many continue they coming ko we are stupid, we are foolish because mune kena ndo la society believe time na ko grammatic English.
English ni mo, I'm gonna go back to school.
Exactly. Ekafe ko go back to school. You are uneducated. You are ignorant. So these are the words. Me along with Gambiano, they are so upset with this kind of these words.
Yeah, brainwash. You need my
But
English, the grammatics are perfectly in a normal conversation with people. Men are not have nothing to do with official. It's a, you are not,
exactly.
and in a
No,
media, those people calling you uneducated. And then in Ajib and more many we call them an intellectual. We come on produce no fire. Create no what are they creative in mind itself? And the theories. Gamma dunia beko banku mam believe ka
go,
exam pass than
go.
Gambia. They don't believe in any theory. A practical.
Practical. Yeah.
It's important.
And the number that I remember.
Another you are
Number
zero in practical, but Dango Devo certificate on your shoulder damento.
banda.
It's sad. It's sad.
Yalong hakilo blandi munela. Newly graduate from na school in Najanto nga fengo menkarang.
Yeah.
Bring company yet the company at the bedu gola je. Na boss ni bembe nyata ka ko misajola akonyako here this Alice was to learn in the school do must here mark na akonye nine. Akonyako theory extra, praxis extra.
Yeah.
Because nte kukono watu ngame bekala school kala fika woleke akonyako forget that.
Yeah.
Akonyako that is no grundlaga. Akonye Alice was to mark in the school cancel that's needs in praxis break.
Absolutely. Jamal believe the practical aspect like that.
So yeah, you know, nte laga me problem I number da yaro ni tuba wole mentu ntel bulu. The kind of the education ya tu ntel bulu. Ote banko sambala nyato. Ate bank develop ndila. Ega mune nyini la telephone. Ame mamal bulu.
Na party ni dada. Nga je fo men party ni data la ba.
Ya jere nte la mula problem momenti. Education system momentu ntel bulu very poor education system. Yole tu ntel bulu. Yen believe in the theory lela. But practical aspect ni tembulu na mol kamen karan wala muko yeta yesi office wala kono. So wala din na ite fem produce nola ebe menkela don kata julol don aji ben inte mol ka karan komin ko international relationship nte la mol kata karan komi be sadadano ika sadadano ike de kinde won ede beta sadadani no la nyaadi le
political science, but it be okay for him for Majana. Political science with international relations.
banda
Ah,
eka nyille karan
the foreign institution will be suffering to
ebe safu no
represent
la nyame
in third world countries.
that's it
That's how they do.
but it be ni ite ndalo na jaman jambie ni ajube from unemployed rate ni ajube jomalo many alonko you know they are university graduates
Work
the
on it.
most
Yes.
walatina these people they don't believe ko afuko ngata si university kono nyin karambala many alon ko tata many alon ko beje pour ka karonke pour ka history lo wala baseball but the majority walatina jam pour ye bri ida jang ene mo bendela ko ko dem politician
Never. Only once like SPD model of jam.
yo
I saw him packet in the old peno.
but
Broke up, you know.
because muneketa system o nyinam jam funding ko man believe they don't even want to associate with the politics.
Election was direct.
You know, they only sit in the France here. Yesterday we saw you be la program la yemune so ya band. But more be left ko they want to be employer. Funding kol be get entrepreneur ni kita school ye me cho men kara nin company me da ifon beta ko do tala man saya ye fen creative fanye puri fane mo employ no.
This is the what I'm going for this area is the only thing I'm like a Lanyan Bangkok.
And I will na banko silang kambele.
No, it is your mala Bangkok. I'm going on a left Bangkok.
I will na banko.
No, Alan in the Tata for Sita in law and they will involve a political in Bangkok. But one uncle go Alan Bangkok enjoy it. So, but in a luar letter, Procas settle on in Bangkok. Nungas ma nga berina jam fana ngaje ko banko nyin na luwa mendi mbota ne nga luwa nga divert dawda mun to fola personal interest lati bara atikeno ni ofinda atakeno aben problem wala ngo risk part ni ngo be avoid la so atol many alam ko be gambe be ba ko foreigner fana nyan silo leta to settle in the gambe so meme isa nyim banko me adiani every qualification is valid.
Exactly.
I understand. The reason why in Kweko, Nintelemo Alain Bank is the qualification you have. Just go to finance account. Within 1 year, ye funds on demand the company is established. Even thousands of people application and they are well qualified to serve in a company at the best of their ability. As long provided that at every end of month it will be a salary. They will serve you. And they can more men don't ka dealer. If they serve like how they want it. Nearly paired that and it all goes with quality. And the guarantee that any problem carrying within this short period of time. Contact us. We will solve your problem. Either wallahi yemeso in the answer in the sang. More than better than manipulation okay, and Ben company in law. You remind me Nena ex-wife it's just sad. But it was the biggest mistake of my part for whatsoever reason. But I still regret that big time, you know. Every education is valid in this society. And even security is valid. Because I make a qualification of meaning in Kadi. Ikaja go this in life is valid. Even Hanin is country, and American in Solo Fike Bush. When I'm European countries will more for 2 months or 3 months, something like that. Each of them make a 250 day job. What am Mugana salary dunia. When I will cut a so mana juno like a woolly, a catani malamunto do kule kanana, more ludo. It's like a nif in the gentleman living a woolaro kana. Yene kuila tabrino like a hiela. Warun take a funny internal and tilibulo to Tejam. In the Sino Paradana do cola. Ninterminator tata. esa wolinga jibe wol ko ika jelle surno da fa janne be setula andi kadani area ni menate da dogo ya valindi janne ni aje be more higher from Eastern Europe to do that job here
billahi
mon banko kamen buka keno abala fa wata sila isa Indian ol village ang gambe jamano wa Indian dindi ol jimeje Indian jetem Vietnam ibe haya ni na doku dlat dinno men da makana practical okay lolu be je craft ausbildung ne bolekega lolu be je flicker assistant in ausbildung ne bolekega ani ni be haya na from India
yeah
in
yara sign India agreement dole fenge ka do kulal taje last time ba tu be ka jaman la highest pays higher many alon ko ka highest pays do say India no
Indian ajibela age mentanaje how valuable wala age in that time of 2021 yo not in Bangkok a solid educational foundation of the man shut up I feel ko na education on your water in Bangkok kanyana I've eventually for another qualification no get to man banko be tax jelle dundila in Bangkok kan jamano na heart sphere mo jede da balula wala
banda e kanyine mere kungo tuba wo eni mol kungo kada ndalla mol be sidi ngebe nyo compete ka English grammar como no puede
ndera ndela nyum wanyo na mkono bibi tinyare mul mbende da nyama have zero idea then aje is another ela kulin kaja nigga message no that is smile on fan fere because I have zero ideas about this it is the responsibility is that wallahi nobody I'm sorry to say this in the media but I mean every education be proud of what you have as long as you believe kawalla even balu kawalla and ala ne temen long and then the knowledge you have is quite enough jani modo kala ka validity but in the Gambia educational system is completely mess
it failed us I am failed
I am failed to an extent I am more being useless in it I am more being hopeless in it
that's it
niman tas you officer kono you are nothing ninjara kewa ya kilo bandi jaranga kewa do
e wulta de
no wanda wala ya no but ngene bula nyena mutonya kesori you know
left out
yeah
ni okay kan suto kairo siam but biyo
no
kan be bangkot
mura fano man ndaka mbida afternoon bale yalo ndaka sija na full because
I'm faran kana dallale
ya jambota na night bar sama beam firi da sama kara night le
e bugasino wallahi na broda wala mina problem e bugasino
no si no mboga ke no shoot
e ka hanyi mena nendo ke don be sa sala wallahi billahi sino balia that's um fata man hanya tija
no it's very dangerous no? Very bad especially shooter you know but I can't table habit leti sa but
idal dala sa nyewo kay nga nyewo to kairo sia
Karo koro ye jabi moro kontanya je you know
telefano ke tala junet
ala fano ke da juna I know my na good 2 o'clock
okay bro
ciao thank you so much you know
yeah
baraka suturia so check the views so folks ngal be kontongal diamo meta ngali tento ngali jai diamo mandia is but it's all about Gambia len ani tolu Gambia no Gambia nyaade mo ideology da bendable ndela how can I you know pretend ko left of bankola nyaratala when I myself I have a zero idea how to implement in that context. Biggest last topic tonight. Nimera beautiful English grammar language is one of the most educated but fine if you have your degrees. Right? Like more like a qualification qualification on your but yeah, we are trying to make a comparison in this Germany here. The educational value, every education can even fit a role like that. To have value there. So Na Gambia educational near mean you have to write a perfect English in order to be in the office to communicate to, like you have to be in the office. But in that office you take a jelly, you come from create no yet. The educational system of the Gambia to even prepare. Yeah, tumbulu wala nyende kana keno tentinyame. We don't have. Do you have any scientists in the Gambia? Yes, we have a scientist. In the follow, Rora Dobijenkafa is scientist Lamin Jana Lanyalinka, many aloga in Jesulatki. He even invent his own telephone, 5 digit within the Newsrat campus. You can communicate. To Babul can see for lato because they have the means in this society. Be along. Our ideas of the Nonyaman. I mean, so be jana be venture that I'm to Babul for a fala and an email about atomic bomb produce. Right. So, but Gambia for what opportunity do we have certain facility to empower that scientists to become something more along about the same knowledge in the dealer and young Gambian scientists or law Bangkok to create something for themselves at the end. So the system in the Gambia, it makes us poor. So Nebo Bangkok yanda monekela sila, you have to venture into politics. You will have a officer to wale tara dogo to survive to at the moment to ibe warol tony usually nyamela official kono wala katra sitting official kono in representing those warol pro kataka daniro kenan kana kavo warol ko bitala nga daniro kenan tuba wol ni so men mananga la life falenga abemu wuli. So the educational system in the Gambia nyanta wala follow they dismantle. But I nyanta start la found the idea that is I don't feel intellectual, the professors, other professors, I'll start to invent. I'll creating a society, the expertise higher and the scientists, Ali higher than the bank, they can build their own generators. Then Gambia. If you have somebody, an engineer, a capability in order to build a high standard generator in the Gambia, then you say now but why are you going to abroad to buy a generator? To Babul be the dam, German be nyawonya, yes solar, Tilubuga Sotojan of Africa, but a tiny bank walk on German job. Your idea means sort of ventilator. You will tasa, what a crown supply jam. Not war. Because they are trying to suit the nature in this to protect the nature in the Gambia. Because near dam jibe, dam being bango kanyana, is abandoned. Yeah, another generator so the Jamina crown produce, but that's not enough. It's not good for the nature. To Bible start can like a banko in nature and protect lanyadi. Sa the menkela. Ponyo, the crown bonilla na wala kon. Bide ye try. Waka crown produce. Ye generator track a crop produce. Sai ko memo kuma ba fonti jansa. Mbe banko kono mbe kurang tala wala baro kurang nyanda bolo banko kono nyade. Mbane mfonyo le connecting nila. Akatara finja naka kurang nya supply. Esola nyenda ya produce. You see how creative nyenda. So Gambia merangos tola. Nye hakilo bula nina former boss. Laptop project of Sambala no Gambia no. This person is very creative. Our own solar company produce a company established here in Furstenwalde, not far from Frankfurt and the Buda. During our visit, I sampled found in the minute at Gambia. Yes, I'm a Gamiwato, Nkalan at landing or Menu Marble, Bruce Villa, Ulano, Colorado, Kuranti, Nkalan at project in Nokankana, Lampu, Malara. Yes. Having that man, I am wanting enough former boss have the capability to manipulate that man. Calibrating sparkly. Kasamba Gambia la own solar energy or la company in the entire build. Gambia kunaka solar produce. Gambia no karang the solar produce la we only need a materials. Maybe asking what it is of the Gambia wala ya import. Nimaza kuna wasifani initiate no Gambia. Ngana most of the men kaka solar produce Gambia. Was solar dabe cheap la menga produce Gambia than ka solar men import na outside in Kanang keep doing. And each solar bar produce ka kanala battery in a produce. You see, Gambia no la. But ana legend da fala. NSGWP party. Narodo Bangkok will make a different change. As we go to there. Ciao.